Coming up, he was once a student, teacher, and principal in the very school system he now leads. Meet Dr. Kevin Maxwell, the new Chief Executive Officer of Prince George's County Public Schools. Next on Conversations with Charlene Dukes. With deep roots in Prince George's County, a long history working with the school system, and national acclaim as an administrator, Dr. Kevin Maxwell was welcomed back home with open arms.
Teaching is just a great profession. It's a great opportunity to make a difference in your community. It's a great, opportunity to make a difference in individual lives.
As the new Chief Executive Officer of Prince George's County Public Schools, Dr. Maxwell is a longtime resident of our community. He cares deeply for the students and has firsthand knowledge of the system.
We're here to serve the community. We're here to serve our students. And we started out our very first couple weeks at school having members of the executive team visit schools. Of course, I've continued to visit schools. The importance of that is for them to see the work that's going on in schools and to see how we can be helpful, to see what the needs are.
He most recently served as superintendent for Anne Arundel County Public Schools, where he received national recognition for student and district-wide improvements. Dr. Charlene Dukes sat down with Dr. Maxwell to talk about his life, his accomplishments, and the many educational issues facing our community.
Welcome, Dr. Maxwell, to the program. It's really a pleasure to have you here with us today on Conversations. And as educators, we know each other professionally, and we have done great work together in the past, and certainly looking forward to doing great work together now in your role as CEO of the Prince George's County Public Schools. But why don't we start out on a more personal note? Why don't you talk to us about who Kevin Maxwell is?
Sure, it's a pleasure for me to be here today with you. I grew up here in Prince George's County. It's an honor for me to be the CEO. My mom moved my brother and sister and I here the summer after I finished second grade in Northern Virginia. My father was in the Army, and when they divorced, she moved here to Maryland. I went to Kent Land Elementary School, Kent Junior High School in those days, and I graduated from Bladensburg High School. I actually then started my post-secondary work here at the community college and did a little bit of work here before leaving and joining the Navy because I was having, the financial issues of paying for college. And when I got out of my Navy training in the Medical Corps, I was stationed back at Bethesda, and then when I got on the day shift at Bethesda, returned here to the community college and had a little more than a semester done when I got out of active duty on the Navy and started at College Park. I finished my bachelor's with a teaching certificate there in December of 1977. The work I did here at the community college helped me graduate in less than 4 years.
Great.
So I started working in the public school system in Prince George's County at Crossland High School in 1978. Became an assistant principal at Central High School, and then became Buck Lodge Middle School's principal for a couple of years, and then in 1992 went to Northwestern High School, where I worked as principal and CEA during 8 years of tenure there, and then went to Montgomery County, learned a new system there, was principal there at Walter Johnson High School for about 4 years. Finished my PhD while I was there. I had started it at Northwestern, finished my PhD at UMBC after doing my bachelor's and master's at College Park, and then did a study fellowship in Italy while I was principal at Walter Johnson, and a Fulbright to Brazil working on, I was one of 8 principals in the United States selected to work with principals in Brazil trying to improve their principal corps. Spoke at their first national principals conference on accountability in U.S. schools while I was there. And then became community superintendent, overseeing 40-some schools in Montgomery County before becoming the superintendent in Anne Arundel County, where I was for the last 7 years and a month. And I'm about 46, 47 days, something like that, into my tenure here as CEO, and happy to be here with you.
Well, I will tell you that we are delighted that many people may not be aware of this, but you're listed as one of the Prince George's Community College's Fabulous 40. When we were celebrating our 40th anniversary here, we selected 40 key individuals with leadership skills, with energy, talent, and you were one of those individuals. So we're certainly delighted that you spent the early part of your foray into post-secondary education here at Prince George's Community College. It's very exciting for us.
And I was honored to be one of the Fab 40.
Good, good. And we're glad to welcome you back home. Talk to us about why teaching was important to you.
Well, I think, you know, it's interesting, you know, there were a couple pieces of that. Like a lot of people, I had teachers who really made a really big difference in my life. I remember in elementary school, you know, being in a single parent, you know, family, and there was a father-son dinner that was happening at the school, and I had no father to take me to that dinner. And I was the only one of my friends that I knew that wasn't going to be at this dinner because I had no father to take me there. And my elementary school teacher, Mr. Charles O'Donnell, about a week before the dinner said, you know, Kevin, you know, I have 3 daughters and no son, and I have no one to take to this dinner. And I'd like to know if you'd go with me. I'll call your mom, and you know, we'll make the arrangements and things. And you know, at this age now, I realize it really wasn't that he didn't have a son to go. I think he recognized that I was, you know, the only kid in the class that wasn't going to be going to this dinner. And all through, you know, whether it was junior high school or whether it was high school, I had teachers who took an interest in me. I had teachers who took an interest in me in my undergraduate work and recommended me for PhD work when I finished my master's at College Park. Dr. Rabowski, the president of UMBC, I met when I was a high school principal in Prince George's County, and we still have lunch once or twice a year, sometimes dinner, sometimes not even here, sometimes in places where we're both attending conferences across the country. And then the other piece of it is I was working with a church youth group in Berwyn when I was in college, and when I left the Navy, I started as an undecided major, not sure what I was going to do, but between the people that were you know, taking an interest in me and the kids that I was working with, you know, as I was looking at those decisions, I just decided, you know, that I was going to give back myself. I enjoyed working with the students I was working with in the church program. And you know, here I am. But teaching is just a great profession. It's a great opportunity to make a difference in your community. It's a great, you know, opportunity to make a difference in individual lives of kids. And you know, beyond whatever other kinds of, you know, rewards you might get, those are the ones that I think are most important. That you really, you know, I still hear from kids. I got a email from a Northwestern high school student last week.
Well, you know what? We're going to let you come back and talk to us about that email, because we know how great it is to be a teacher. So we're going to take a short break, and when we return, we'll continue our conversation with Dr. Kevin Maxwell.
Great.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Prince George's Community College isn't just a place that offers more than 200 academic, workforce development, and continuing education programs. It's the first step toward the career of your dreams. It's a community of people who want you to succeed. It's where degrees are earned and potential is realized. Apply and register today. Call 301-336-6000. Prince George's Community College, transforming lives.
We're back with Dr. Kevin Maxwell, Chief Executive Officer of the Prince George's County Public Schools. And before the break, you were going to talk to us about an email you received from a student. We'll talk about that email, and then we'll have some discussion about what your vision is for the Prince George's County Public Schools and what's on the mind of teachers, parents, students, and community members.
Well, you know, I received this email, and I hear from my former students from when I was long ago, when I was a teacher to when I was a principal, assistant principal. The email I got last week was from a student at Northwestern High School when I was principal there. And, you know, in brief, she said that she was in touch with a lot of Northwestern High School students who were just so proud when they heard that I was going to be the new CEO. And she talked about her experience as a student at Northwestern High School and those of her friends, and talked about the high expectations I held for them and for their teachers, and how successful they were because I believed in them, because I had those high expectations for them. And they were now teachers and doctors and lawyers, and that they attribute a lot of that to the expectations that were set forth for them.
That's great. So if we talk about expectations, high expectations, how does that translate into the vision that you have for our public school system?
So it's clear that we need to do better as a school system. You know, certainly we have some students who are doing very, very well in Prince George's County, and we don't talk about that enough, but we also have plenty of students who can do better. And that's not to say that they're doing poorly, although some are. What we need to talk about is how we raise everyone, and we want to, you know, close gaps between groups of children, and we want to make sure that we close gaps between the standards that are set for students and where we are currently achieving. We need to make sure that those expectations translate not just to our students, but to our teachers and our principals and other people who work for us as well. We're here to serve the community. We're here to serve our students. And you know, we started out our very first couple weeks of school having members of the executive team visit schools for a full week, and of course I've continued to visit schools. The importance of that is for them to see the work that's going on in schools and to see how we can be helpful, to see what the needs are. If we don't visit schools, if we're not in classrooms, we don't see, you know, what teachers are dealing with and what students are dealing with. So increasing achievement, inviting people back into our school district. I hear a lot at my meet and greets. I hear a lot, you know, in emails that I get and you know, when I'm out visiting schools, that people want to come back to our school system. People want to be a part of our school system. But we have huge waiting lists for some of our most popular programs, most successful programs. And so opening up some more seats for those is something that, you know, I had a big meeting Friday afternoon talking about, at the office talking about, you know, what our capacity is in terms of facilities, what our capacity is in terms of teachers, how do we make sure that we have a plan in place to begin to expand programs. It surprises me what we don't have in some cases in the school district. I've heard a lot, for example, about Spanish immersion, and you know, 23% of our children are Spanish speakers, and yet, you know, we're not doing anything to, you know, sort of facilitate, you know, people who are English speakers being able to be conversant with those 23%, and we don't have enough teachers and support staff who are, you know, able to work with their parents. So, you know, that's high on our list. Some additional Montessori programs. There's a conversation that I'm hearing about the French immersion program, and you know, how it ends and where the kids go when they finish the K-8, you know, program that we have in several of our schools. So again, you know, working to improve the achievement of students overall, but also, you know, working as a school district to be a school district for all of the citizens of our county, not just some of the citizens of our county.
And I know that as we've talked about college and career readiness in my role on the state board, you know, we've talked about a world-class vision for education in the state of Maryland where all children leave public schools college and career ready. What does that mean for you and the work that you're doing? How would you define college and career readiness?
Well, I think, you know, the reality is that, you know, nationally we're having that same conversation, and so a lot of the work right now is being driven by the Common Core, you know, standards that we're, you know, working on. The consortia that has worked together on Common Core Maryland is a driving force in that as a state, as you know. And so the local districts are realigning our curricular work to align with the state standards, which are the same as the Common Core standards. And those are setting forth some higher, you know, expectations for students. The curriculum will be less broad and much deeper, so we want our students to really understand the concepts behind the work and not just do, you know, 100 different problems, but really, you know, understand the depth of what we're talking about as we discuss math problems or, you know, issues in social studies, philosophy, government, English, literature. And so, you know, that will help our students, I believe, a great deal. But we also need to interest kids. And so we're, you know, again, when we talk about specialty programs and programs of interest, I think kids, when they're engaged in things that they're interested in and like to do, makes the learning more real for them. We can't be focused. It's how we teach what we do. Not only is it what we teach, but it's how we teach what we teach. So I believe that kids need to be engaged in their learning, active participants in learning. Classrooms need to be student-centered classrooms, not adult-centered, classrooms. So all of that work, I think, will create a really vibrant learning community in which our students will thrive. And at the same time, we know that we have some students for whom the traditional classroom settings are not the same. And so we need to talk about additional offerings for students who, for whatever reason, are not inclined to be attached to, interested in, or successful in the current sort of mainstream way that we do education.
Because I hear a lot about technical education in the county, and how maybe over the last 15 or 20 years we've moved away from offering a number of technical programs to really being focused on preparing students for college. Now, certainly as the president here at Prince George's Community College, I think that there's a healthy environment for both to occur, because we know that 60% of employment opportunities that are out there require some post-secondary education. So how do you respond to that sort of tension sometimes between what we might have called white collar and blue collar work?
Well, it's interesting that I hear that all the time, but having started my career at Crossland in the vocational center there, I don't believe it's an either or. I think in some cases it may be one or the other, but in some cases it's both.
Yes.
So when I taught vocational horticulture, I had students who were going out into the landscaping business, and I had students who were going to the University of Maryland or the Institute for Applied Agriculture and working on landscape architecture. So those two things aren't necessarily separated from each other. I think that, when we talk about getting 80%, our goal, 80% of our students, ready for college, the other 20%, with 124,000 plus students here, is still 124,000 students. 10% of that, 20% of that is what, 24,000 students. We don't have anywhere near that number of seats for, the career, not college necessarily, or sometimes both, numbers of students. As the community college president, that the latest, data, the latest reports are telling us that the careers going forward are going to be less focused on 4 years and postgraduate degrees and more on technical-oriented education. So you can do as much with a 2-year associate's degree in computer programming as you can sometimes, with a 4-year degree in other topics. So, we have to rethink, that focus, and make sure that as we talk about the jobs of the future, some of which we can't even imagine what they are right now, but there's a huge growth industry, for example, in gaming and other kinds of work on computers.
And I think that your discussion about Common Core, how it will give us the opportunity to focus on concepts and go deeper into those concepts, is really about too how we're teaching critical thinking. Problem solving, I believe, is what we refer to it in our day as, but really allowing students to apply a depth and breadth of skills in a particular area. So I think we think about entrepreneurship and what does all of that mean as we sort of delve into this college and career readiness. And what we're going to do right now is take another short break, but stay with us for more of our conversations about the Prince George's County Public Schools.
When life's this hard, it's no wonder 7,000 students drop out every school day. Visit boostup.org and help kids in your community stay in school.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
We're back with Dr. Kevin Maxwell, Chief Executive Officer of the Prince George's County Public Schools. So, Dr. Maxwell, I understand you had a public forum to talk about capital improvements and what we as a community believe we need for our schools. Can you talk about what you've learned and even what you know as someone who's been in education for a long time?
I'd be happy to. So, yes, we just had a public hearing, and you know, that hearing is required. The capital improvement process in Maryland will have my staff at the Interagency Committee on School Construction, and then the first round of appeals that I'll be at will be in December, and then the Board of Public Works. That meeting that we usually refer to as the Begathon, where we go for the, you know, the bulk of the rest of the money that's available in January.
We know a little bit about that in our work too.
I'm sure you do. So you know, that's a formal process that's there. But, you know, again, as I've been out visiting schools and looking at, you know, the condition of the facilities and classrooms, as well as the fact that the law that did this restructuring that created a CEO and those kind of things calls for an analysis of the facilities to be completed by December 2014. I can tell you that it's very clear that there's a great deal of need for facilities improvement in our district. I mean, we have well over 200 facilities, to about 204 schools, and then we have other buildings as well, administrative buildings and professional development buildings and things. So it's a big system. I mean, it's like the 18th largest district in the country. So the scale is something I think a lot of people don't understand. But you know, we don't have enough technology. We're still working to wire our buildings for the park assessments and those kind of things. So again, while we're on track to get that done, it's clear that while we have some brand new schools like Oxon Hill High School, which looks lovely and wonderful, I was there on the first day of school, and it's got all the technology that, you know, you could hope for, Avalon Elementary School. There are other schools that clearly have great facility needs, and so we're going to have to really address that. The public hearing process is a way for parents to talk about that, but they can also, you know, send emails and advocate. But what we really need to do is develop sort of a comprehensive list and an order in which we're going to approach things. And we can't have one, you know, school community arguing with another one and, you know, going back and forth all the time. The state expects us to have a 6-year plan that we're going to stick to, and that we're not going to go back and forth, you know, about things. They allocate their money based on, you know, what they believe is the, you know, the county's willingness to, you know, commit to those projects and stay with them. If they don't have that confidence, they're going to give their money to other districts, because just like there's more, you know, projects here than there is funding for, the same thing is true statewide. So if they don't have that confidence, we're having a meeting, I think it's next week, with the people from the state to sit down and talk about how our comprehensive maintenance plan, our facilities master plan, and the capital improvement plan should all work together so that we, you know, have the best bang for our dollar, if you will, as we move forward, because there's not only the replacement, renovation, modernization, you know, part of school improvement, there's also systemics, the replacement of things like HVAC units and roofs and those kind of things to prolong the life of a school building. So we need to make sure that we're, you know, doing it in a real holistic kind of way, as opposed to kind of going back and forth.
And I would think that you're also looking for community support and the community voice as you make those decisions. So
Absolutely.
I know that we can urge members of the community to go out to the public schools website, look at the dates when these public meetings are taking place, and look at ways that they can communicate with you about what they think is important, not only within their neighborhoods or their neighborhood schools, if we can use that terminology, but how do you make some suggestions about a larger and broader vision as we talk about capital improvements in our public schools?
The county will have public hearings, and the state, you know, has its, you know, process as well. So the funding source, I mean, our school system, just like the community college, does not fund itself, although we have some ways of raising revenue.
Right.
You have tuition,
Right.
we have building use costs and those kind of things,
Right.
but you know, a lot of our money comes from the county government and from the state government,
Right.
and so advocating to their county council members, to
It's
the
important
county
for us.
executive, and to their state delegates and state senators is very important, to say, we need, greater funding, as much as you can bring us.
Right, and I know the community has heard that, and we'll all step up and do our part.
Correct.
But let's change directions just for a moment. And you know that earlier this year, Governor O'Malley signed into law the College Completion and College and Career Readiness Act of 2013. And what that really does is it lays out, I think, a very prescriptive direction for post-secondary institutions to continue to increase our college completion, our graduation rates, but it also talks about ways that public schools and higher education can work together on dual enrollment, where students are either simultaneously taking high school courses and college courses in their junior and senior year, or maybe in some cases they're still enrolled as high school students, but starting their college career early. Tell me, and I know that we've been engaged in developing and I think putting the finishing touches on our memorandum of understanding, but talk from the perspective of the Chief Executive Officer, why you think it may be important for young people to begin engaging in collegiate work in their junior and senior years.
Well, I think I can talk about that as a CEO, but I can also talk about it as a principal. And I will tell you that the data is very clear that students who have a college level work experience and who, even if they don't do as well on it as they may want, advanced placement, for example, it's clear that if a student takes an advanced placement course, even if they have the lowest score on the exam, they're more likely to complete college than students who don't participate in that work at all. So any opportunity that we can provide children to see themselves doing college work, to understand that they can be competitive in that, it's part of that raising the academic achievement part. As long ago as when I was principal at Northwestern High School, we were experimenting with this community college, having professors from this community college come to Northwestern High School and teach a section of our students the introductory level classwork for the community college. It gets the hook into them, in a sense, to say, oh, I'm already enrolled in the community college and I've already taken and successfully completed a course. And so it gives them that ease of transition into the community college and that confidence that they can do the work. So I see dual enrollment as just one of those pieces that makes it easier for students to move towards that goal again of 80% of our students finishing college. And I think that the community college certainly plays a critical role in that and has been appreciated in some ways. It's almost like some parents, I think, believe that the community college is not college like everyone else does, and that's just not true. Again, I started at this community college. I know that it gave me a head start. I know that when I started at the University of Maryland after getting out of the Navy that I was better prepared for college.
Dr. Maxwell, our new Chief Executive Officer of the Prince George's County Public Schools, has said it indeed does take a village to have a great school system. This has been a wonderful discussion, but that's all the time we have today. I wish you much success, and certainly here at Prince George's Community College, we look forward to working with you on all the initiatives that you talked about today. Thank you, Dr. Maxwell, for joining us on this edition of Conversations.
Thank you for having me.
Sit with me, imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. 'Cause every kid across the nation deserves a book to read, and we can make it happen right now.
No, I don't know what you've been told, but kids with books learn so much more. So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child. So let's join hands, book people unite,
Unearth hidden passion.
tomorrow have a good time.
Seeds of inspiration to motivate some magic.
Change
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.